Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome you at home on live stream. Glad you could be with us. My name is Catherine Brown. I know most of you, but some of you I don't. I'm a Dehesa EF. I'm the humanities teacher here at this Escondido Learning Center, and I'm the Europe Tour Coordinator. And so thank you for being here tonight. Thank you all for your interest. So tonight we're gonna, we have Jackie Furman with us from EF, and she is going to give us the details of the tour. But first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience. I have coordinated tours with EF before. About 10 years ago, I went to France and took a group of French students and their relatives. And then in 1999, I went on a tour and took a group of Latin students, and we went into Italy with EF. And both of them were wonderful tours, and we all benefited immensely from it. So I invite you to settle in and listen to the tour and see if it's something that's right for you. And first, I'd like to start actually with a quote. It's from The Hobbit. And many of you know the story of when Gandalf and the dwarves descended on Bilbo's cottage, and they were trying to get him to go on the adventure to slay the dragon and retake the ancestral treasure and the ancestral lands of the dwarves. Okay, so they descend upon him, and he's kind of crabby, and he doesn't want to go. He loved his cozy little cottage. He loved his 6 or 7 meals a day, all his comforts, his regular, predictable life in the village, and his kind of set idea of who he was and his role in the village. So you remember that scene in the movie or in the book. But Tolkien also tells us that among Bilbo's mother's people were the Tooks. And among the Tooks, there had been those who were adventurers, who dared to go out of the village and do great deeds. And so as Gandalf and the dwarves are telling all the stories of their adventures in the land and so forth, here's the quote. Then something Tookish woke up inside him, that's Bilbo, and he wished to go and see the great mountain and hear the pine trees and the waterfalls, explore the caves, and wear a sword instead of a walking stick. So he wished to go see the great mountain, hear the pine trees and waterfalls, explore the caves, and wear a sword instead of a walking stick. So tonight we're here, and I invite us all to find out whether something Tookish will wake up inside of us to compel us and propel us onward to go see the great cities, hear the accents of different cultures, and explore the great monuments of humankind. And so I invite us all tonight to just explore whether it's the right time for us to go on an adventure together. And so now we're going to hear the details of this adventure. Jackie?
Hi, I'm Jackie Furman, and I'm with EF. EF stands for Education First, so it's a little different. I thought it was really unique that you guys have the same acronym for your school. So it's EF, Education First, so we're educational tours. So we do tours. EF is kind of it's a huge company, and it has high school and middle school tours, and that's educational tours. We have Girl Scout tours, we have adult tours, we have language schools. It's just a whole entity of different things. So the idea is to show you guys this tour that Mrs. John has picked out for you, give you some information about what you're going to do, what you can expect, what you're going to see, how it's going to be a part of your education, and then the enrollment process. So feel free to ask questions anytime. I talk really fast, and I'll just keep rambling, so feel free to pop a hand up, or you can wait till the end. Either works for me. I'm totally fine with it. So you guys are doing the European Quartet. We have a whole book of different tours, and we go around the world. So this is the tour that Mrs. John picked for you guys, and I think it's wonderful. Has anyone been to Europe before? Yeah, look, quite a few parents. Any students been to Europe? Okay, a lot of new people. Where have you been?
Italy is
Those are my favorite. That's my favorite. So you guys will see this number right here. It's all on your packet, and at the end of the presentation, we'll have this website up for you. But this is a specific tour website for your group, and you'll see the dates, every piece of information that we review will be there for you to access as well. So why student travel, the benefits to you and your children, global citizenship, and why Europe. So one of the things that I think is most important is kind of the well-roundedness that comes along with travel, let alone not just travel within your own environment, but in a different culture, in a different setting. You kind of, you have an appreciation for that culture, seeing how these people live, and these people have their day-to-day lives. But then you appreciate your own culture for what you have, and just kind of interacting and seeing the differences. And global citizenship, this is kind of a term that's being used throughout education and schools these days, going into college and making yourself a global citizen, which means well-rounded and more flexible. And I will say, I always think going on these tours is a great opportunity. You're going to be meeting, you're going to be rooming with people you may not know. You're going to be spending time with these people. And you know, the goal after high school and middle school, and after that, is to get a job or go to college. And these are all skills that you'll use to be able to do that. You guys are going to be riding metros. You guys are going to be, you know, ordering food in a different language. These are all things that you can, you know, use later in life. Yeah.
My teacher, Miss Rose, brought us on this trip. Our local tour guide, she added in all these extra facts that it was like only the insiders know, you know, the really local people get to know.
That's what it's an entire shift when you actually come here to experience it firsthand.
This is such an active tour. You get really involved in the culture, and it's amazing.
To see that perspective change, to see their eyes open up wide, that's something real special. Just keeps going.
This makes everything we have studied for many years become reality in very, very special and unique ways.
It's exciting that I actually have a bratwurst from Germany.
I had to get a noodles with Tuscan meat sauce. It's so good.
This is the classroom. Suddenly the words leap on the page.
Being able to apply all the knowledge I have to something that I can touch, that I can see, that I can hear the echoes bouncing off the walls, and it was unlike any other experience I've had. We're in the center of Prague. Here we are in the marketplace of Crete.
We're at Manuel Antonio National Park in Costa Rica.
This is our classroom. We've all learned about it in history class, we've all seen it in the textbook, but to actually be here, to actually go onto the Acropolis and be able to see the Parthenon is more than I imagined it would be.
It completely does a 360 to your perspective. You suddenly just see the world as so much bigger. You look around and you have this moment and you're just like, all right, I'm here, but this is just the beginning.
Confidence is definitely going to be with us soon.
You guys are going to all those places, but that is kind of just a snapshot of the different places and interacting with different students that have been on tour before. I do like the one girl said it, you know, you guys are talking about these different things in your classrooms and learning about the history, and now you're going to go see it in life, in real life, and see what it's all about, and it just brings it to life a lot more. So this is just kind of an overview of what we're going to talk about. I'll go through all these different things, just what you guys can expect. We have an insurance coverage plan, anything from passports, what you're responsible for, what's included, and then, you know, in the end, how to enroll and reserve your spot. So we kind of went over this part to align with the curriculum in class. promote the understanding of other cultures, and sharpen your skills to prepare for college, and then navigate new experiences. I think that one's one of the biggest ones. So YEF, safety first is our number one component for our tours. We send so many students and travelers around the world each year, and if we didn't have safety, it would just fall apart. So we have an all-inclusive coverage plan. So we work with a company called Alliance, and we'll go over the details of that a little bit later, but it offers you traveler's insurance, which is great. We also have a 6-to-1 student to chaperone ratio. For every 6 students that are traveling, we provide a chaperone for you guys, and we just feel that that's the comfortable number to make sure everybody's safe on tour. We have trained and licensed local guides. You kind of saw it a little bit in the video, but they're called tour directors, and this is the person when you land at the airport. It'll be a he or she. They're bilingual in the different countries in that language that you're going, and they'll have a little sign that says EF Tours, and then you guys will be with that person all the way till the end when they say goodbye to you on the way out. They check you into your hotels, they take you to your restaurants, they take you to your activities. We kind of call them the backbone of the tour, because without them, so by the end, I love hearing about the different people who make good relationships with everybody, and it's hard to say goodbye to them sometimes because you've been with them so long. And then 24-hour emergency on-call service. That's for teachers, that's for students, that's for parents. You can always reach us. We have our main big headquarters are in Boston. I was just there last week. It was cold. They're always there. They're always available. So you can get a hold of us if you need anything. We're fully accredited, just like your school. And like I mentioned before, you have a full-time personal bilingual tour director. And also, just so you know, EF is, like I mentioned, it's a very big company, and we have these contracts with airlines and hotels. We bring them so much business every year. They give us the best price because they can count on us to bring them that. So that's where we are able to give you the best price. And then we plan and organize all the logistics. There's nothing that you guys have to do unless there's a couple of hours of free time where you want to go do something, but the rest of the tour is built in. And like you'll see in your handbooks that you have, it's kind of a day-by-day of what you'll be doing. So all these pink dots are EF offices, EF schools. So it's just kind of a big picture of where we're at. We're everywhere. I always think of this. I was in Denmark this summer staffing a tour, and they had told me, okay, when you get to Denmark, meet us at this hotel at this time, kind of prepare for before the tour. I get off the plane, I take a train somehow. I don't speak the language, and they were trying to give me directions, so I was like wheeling my suitcase down the street, trying to find the hotel, and I had a panic moment where I was like, okay, Jackie, you're by yourself in another country, you're not really sure where you're going, and I was wheeling and wheeling, and all of a sudden there was an EF office, and it was this like glorious moment where and the hotel ended up being a block away, but it was like, okay, if you don't find it, just go back here and ask a question. But so it reminded me, I was like, we are everywhere. So it was very helpful for that. But the idea of that is for, say for some reason you guys are hopping your bus for the day and the tire is flat. We have our operations team there can replace, get you guys a new bus right away. That's kind of the idea of having that. We've had tour directors, by accident, someone gets sick, just, life happens, we can switch you in a newer tour director. That's kind of the idea behind that. So here's a map of where you guys are going. Once again, this is in your booklet, and it'll be on the website that I show you at the end. You guys are starting in Amsterdam, and the number by the name is how many nights you'll be in each of these places. And then you'll head down to Brussels. You'll be in Paris for 2 nights. And then you guys are doing Versailles. So that's, has anybody been to Versailles before or know what it is? It's beautiful. It's King Louis XIV had his home there. Marie Antoinette is there. It's beautiful gardens. It's amazing. But you guys are going to be doing that extension. You guys bikes around the pond. I have some amazing pictures from there. And then London, you guys are actually going to be staying longer, which I think is great. When you stay longer, you're already over there. Get 2 more nights in while you're there. But you guys will be there for 4 nights. We'll give you a chance to really dive into the city a little bit. Here's the day-by-day itinerary for you guys. Obviously, I won't read that. before listening to me. But this goes over exactly what you guys are going to be doing every day, which once again, it makes it so you're not having to figure out your own schedule. Everything's planned. Your tour director tells you, okay, we're going to head here now and see different things. And I mentioned before, there's a tour director and then there's licensed local guides. So say you guys get to Versailles, your tour director may not be the one guiding that tour, but there'll be another person there that shows up and you meet a new person. That person's the expert in that different site that you guys are seeing. It keeps going, and then your 2-day extension, and then you guys head home. So you guys are actually going as a private group. Typically, if we were doing a tour and say there's 20 kids from your school that are able to go, to get the best price, we match you guys up with another school because our buses hold 50 people, technically 48. So we match you up with a group around 30 that was doing the same tour right around the same time as you. The neat concept, you get to meet new people, but having a private group is always nicer. You get to be with your own people. You can make stops if you need to. You know, you're not waiting on other groups. So you guys are actually going to be doing that, which is very nice. So you're guaranteed your own tour itinerary. The more people enroll, the lower the total tour cost per traveler. So I'll explain this towards the end when you see the pricing, but just keep that in mind for later. And then so we have a departure date set for you guys of November 2nd, 2015. So it's the first week of November. We ask for you to give us a little leeway. You give us 2 to 3 days on the front end and 2 to 3 days on the back end of your departure date. Yes, we can give you November 2nd if you want it. Yes, we have to have November 2nd. You might get a really awkward flight time, but if you say, hey, okay, you give us a little cushion, you might get November 1st, and there's just a better time that gets you in a better hour. You don't have more stops, if that makes sense. So we always just ask for a little cushion. You'll know plenty of time out for your arrangements. I just looked up now flights, and they're not even, airlines aren't even showing through the middle of November yet. So we have to book that a little bit later.
But we'll know like a month or two.
Exactly, plenty of time, yes. So yeah, there's the departure window that we ask you guys just to give us a little cushion. You know, yes, maybe the 2nd is the date that you have to go, but maybe you have to make 3 stops on your way there, where if you gave us November 1st, we could get you up there, yeah.
Is it the same on the other end, on the return?
No, you'll definitely be leaving on day 11.
Oh, so whenever that starts, it'll be day 11.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying, my understanding is that between October 30th to November 5th, they may depart in between there?
Yep. So we might call Mr. John and say, okay, October 30th, that's the date that you guys will be departing. That was the best flight itinerary we can get you. It's most direct, less layover time, and get you into Amsterdam at this hour, you know, and just instead of leaving in the, you know, middle of the afternoon, something.
But we'll know 2 months in advance.
Yes. So we offer WeShare. It's a program where you can actually do a project on your own. It's optional, but I believe you were going to talk to the students a little bit about.
Yeah, so you know, we as homeschool, being a homeschool support charter school, we support learning, and this is like the ultimate field trip. And so what we're going to do to support learning, the other EFs who are going and myself will be putting together curriculum and recommended videos, books, articles to read, things to learn about to prepare us for the different stops that we're going to make. And we're going to be able to cover where we're going, ancient history through modern history. So ancient history, we'll be seeing things at the Louvre Museum, the British Museum, and be seeing Stonehenge, which, you know, is Bronze Age, the Roman baths that are in England. And then in the British Museum, you know, we'll trace back to the beginning of humankind when they began farming societies. So, and then the Middle Ages as well, we'll be seeing Notre Dame Cathedral, Westminster Abbey, the Tower of London. Of course, there are a lot of treasures in the Louvre and the British Museum that come from the Middle Ages. And then also the Renaissance, those same museums. And of course, Amsterdam during the Renaissance, and then shortly thereafter was the Dutch Golden Age, which the canals were built and those little gingerbread houses that you see with the tops. And then also early modern as well at Versailles and in London, Paris, Amsterdam. And modern will be at the Anne Frank House, and we're going to offer an optional excursion to the Churchill War Museums, which are the underground museums that the government ran from or functioned from during World War II, during the bombing of Britain. So it's very, very interesting. Also, we'll see the Red Line Star Museum in Brussels, or Antwerp, which is near Brussels, where about, I think, 75% of immigrants that came to the United States filtered through that was a port out of Europe. And so the immigrants would come from all over Europe, go there, and then come to America. And they have a museum there of all the different peoples, and it'd be very, very interesting for Americans in our, our melting pot, because many of our ancestors came through there. And so what we're going to do, the ES and I that are going, we're going to set up a website, kind of web page, which is still figuring out how to do that, where we put all those resources so your students or you can prepare yourselves for what we're going to see there. And we'll have suggestions, and click on tabs and topics, and suggestions of things to learn about where we're going, as well as the We Share. And I've checked into that somewhat. It's really a neat thing that EF offers. It kind of walks students through creating a project, from the planning part when they're here, before they leave, to what they're going to actually do and look for. So it gives them kind of a focus for their travels. And then they can put it all together when they get back, and sometimes they even can be posted later on.
They win prizes too. I didn't get to watch different teachers watch the different presentations. It's really cool.
Yeah, so live stream, you can win prizes. Especially back there if you put together a good project.
So how early will the curriculum that you're going to post on this special site and the We Share be available that we can start prepping our kids?
We'll start putting things on in January. So give me the Christmas break and the other Christmas break. And we'll start putting some things.
Part of what we talk about.
Right, yeah. So as parents, you can start working it into your homeschooling curriculum. And of course, Celia's going to talk about this later, but using EUs for paying part of the trip to educational units, you need to be enrolled in, your child needs to be enrolled in some class that will kind of, jive with this. But of course, any real social studies class is going to cover this kind of history, or literature, English language arts class. So it's going to be a really great educational and transformational experience.
There was actually, so the We Share project is, so the neat thing about it is the student gets to pick the topic, which makes it very unique to them. And I remember a story, there was it was actually my boss who was on tour, and there was a girl, and she was really pretty, like high school, she was blonde, and just kind of what you would picture as like a beach babe kind of girl. And all she did was shop the whole time. And it was like, they were in Paris, and all she would do, she didn't really want to go see the other things, she went shopping, and didn't think much of it until she came back and we learned that her We Share project was fashion. She's so passionate about fashion, and that's like what she wants to go to school for later. So he ended up being like, okay, I need to open up my mind, because in my mind I thought she was, just kind of superficial and kind of really focused on this, but she actually was very passionate about this topic. So I just love that students can focus in on what they like to do. Like I mentioned before, we have an all-inclusive coverage plan. I always tell parents, check with your insurance provider. You might have travel insurance. I've had parents say, like, I have insurance. Does this work for me? And I just say, just check to make sure it's travel. You never want anything to happen, but things do happen. I had a parent ask me what the worst thing was that happened on tour. The only one that I'm aware of, and it was on a tour that I did. I had a girl, she fractured her ankle. We were in Costa Rica, and we were whitewater rafting, and it wasn't even during that part. We got out of the boat, and we were kind of like splashing in the water, and she just fell off the rock. We would She was such a great girl, and it was the beginning of the tour, so I felt bad. But she had crutches. We took her to the hospital. Everyone was like, "What were the hospitals like?" I was like, "It was perfect." She came back out with crutches, and everything was taken care of. It was flawless. The tour director goes with you. That's what the chaperones are there for, to be able to handle these issues. Illness and accident, it's up to $35,000 in coverage. Bag and baggage and property. So say, or on the flight, your baggage is lost, we'll give you enough money we'll reimburse you so you can get what you need up to a certain amount of money. And this is all in the back of the enrollment handbook I gave you. Flight delay, this one, so say you guys are taking Delta, and Delta is delayed for unknown reasons, weather, and you guys get there 2 days late, we'll reimburse you for those 2 full days. That's what the insurance would cover, so you're not paying for things that you actually missed. So safety approach is kind of where you feel that students, we ask that, rules in class apply on tour as well. You will be on tour. So what are you guys responsible for? You guys are responsible for spending money for optional excursions. So say during free time, there's a couple hours and you really want to go do this museum that wasn't part of the itinerary. That would just be money that you want to bring to do those different things. If you want to get mom or dad a souvenir, bring money for that. Beverages, I used to bring, when I was traveling, I brought my little refillable water bottle. But if you want to grab a beverage along the way, it can get warm there. But you guys are going in November time. But just be able to do that. Lunches, we provide breakfast and dinner for you guys every single day. But lunchtime, you guys are going to be out and about in the city. You're going to be out in squares and different plazas. And then, so it'll be like, okay, you guys have an hour and a half. Go grab lunch. This is kind of, I think, neat because that's where you can go try something. Maybe you want to try a crepe. Maybe you want to try a baguette or fish and chips. Just different things. Or, if you just really need McDonald's, maybe go find McDonald's. But we don't encourage that. You can do what you want. And then snacks. Yeah, go ahead.
How does that work with currency exchange? Does EF assist with that, or?
You guys can exchange money before you guys go. Or
is that what you suggest?
Yeah, you can do that if you don't want your child carrying the money around. I've heard parents like to do, there's like a debit card that you can kind of refill. So you can say like, okay, we're going to spend 100, and then it's like, whoa, A100's gone, I need to give her more. You can kind of monitor it that way. I would say, your child. But yes, exchanging your money. Airport's most expensive. Yes.
Really easy.
Yep, ATMs are great too.
That's the best. And just check with your bank before you go. Just error cost or using that card.
Yeah, those are all good. ATMs are great over there. And then, tips for your tour director, a bus driver, and local guides. So we suggest around $10 per day. If the breakdown is, we say about $6 a day for your tour director, $3 a day for your bus driver. That's when you have a bus that day, and then a local guide. So say you guys are in Versailles and the local guide is there, we suggest $1 for that. So that's just something you can collect beforehand. Sometimes it's better to do that so at the end of the trip when you're like, okay guys, then everyone's like, oh, you spent my money already. So just something to consider before. And then passport. So if you're 15 and under, it'll last you 5 years, and if they're about $150 right now, we say it takes about 14 weeks. I think it's sooner than that, but we don't want to tell you that. You don't want to get the bad impression. So I would just, it'll last you a long time. I always tell people, my mom had me get mine when I traveled. It was back in high school. No, it was like I was 18 or 19. And I was like, okay, mom, she told me to go to the post office. So I had gone to the gym, and I headed to the post office. I was sweaty. I was wearing this ugly jacket, and my hair was slicked back, and I had my retainers in. It is still haunting me. It expires this May, and the worst part though is I hate when I go show it to someone. I'm waiting. I want them to be like, wait, this is new. But when they recognize me, that's what makes me cringe because I see it and I'm like, ugh. So just get yourself together, put on, do your hair. That's gonna let me with you for a while. And then, so if you're over 15, it lasts 10 years. So that's what I did. Here's a little more about passports and visas. Okay, so good stuff. what you guys get on tour. You get the full-time bilingual tour director, the educational itinerary. So this is the day-to-day activities you see in there. Sightseeing led by the licensed local guides. Entrance fees to select attractions. It's all listed in that, which entrances you guys are going to get. This is one of my favorites, and I think it's so nice because, once again, you guys are there, you guys are going to go up to Eiffel Tower. Instead of being like, okay, let me get out the money to pay my ticket, the tour director comes up and just hands out tickets. When I was on tour, it was one of the best things because once again, you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to wait in a long line. Tour director's got it covered. And Versailles, I went there with my parents a couple of years ago, and it was raining, which, it rains, not a big deal. We were under umbrellas. We waited in a line for an hour and a half to get in. That's okay. All the groups were going in this side entrance and whizzing by us. And I was like, this is why. That's another benefit of groups. They cater to groups. So you guys would go to the side entrance and not stand in the rain like I did. And the WeShare, we help facilitate that for you. Round trip flights on major carriers. So once again, you guys will find out your flights leading up, but we use all major airlines. We have our main office is actually in Lucerne, Switzerland. It's this huge office that just does flights. It's kind of hotels with private bathrooms. I always think that sounds funny, but if you think of Europe, they're known for hostels and everybody on the same floor sharing one bathroom. But so it's 4 students per room if you're above 12, and so it'd be 4 girls in a room and then 4 boys. And you guys, 4 girls would have their own bathroom, 4 boys would have their own bathroom. If you're below 12, you do need a parent to go with you, and you and the parent will need to share a room. And there is an additional $30 per night fee to do that because instead of splitting the cost between 4 people, it's now been split between 2. Yes, that is for an adult and a child. Yes.
The Dehesa guideline that 8th grade and above can go with.
Okay, that's totally doable for that. We can work with Stephanie on that.
Jackie, just a logistical.
Oh yeah,
because if you're having one backpack and it's on for 11 or 12 days, is there a laundry option?
There are it's not something we're gonna do.
No.
It's kind of lightweight clothes.
Yeah,
you have a backpack in your.
You can have luggage.
Yes.
You don't want too much.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
I would do that. Yeah, the carry-on size. Yes.
So if you're over 12.
If you're over, okay, you might want to repeat it for those guys.
Okay.
If you're
So
over 12.
for your school rule, it's parents can come. Can you repeat?
Parents are always welcome.
Yeah.
And they're required to come for 7th grade students.
And 7th graders are
12. Yeah.
But that's what she wants to know if she goes.
She's a
That's
like
like
my mom.
Oh, you can be in your own room if you want.
No,
Or you can
no.
share. Yes, except your mom would be in an adult room. Yes.
So the adult rooms have 2 people.
Adult rooms have 2. We wouldn't squeeze 4 adults in one room. That would not be fun. But yeah, so it's like you mom and you mom, you guys would be together. You dad would be together. Unless you wanted to upgrade to things. That's always optional for parents.
But then Christina, you would be in a room with 3 other girls.
3 other girls. Yep.
Right.
And it might even work out. It depends on different hotels are different, but there might be triple rooms, and these are things that you figure out the logistics of. So I've had girls after meeting say like, "Can I room with her?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll figure that one out later." But that's something that you would do on your end.
So the family plans to result in 2 kids, do they get the room price or the?
There's a family room price, and that you wouldn't have to pay anything additional if there's a family going. So it's two adults and 2 kids can be together. And okay, so breakfast and dinner daily, like I mentioned before, you guys will most likely be eating breakfast at the hotel. And European style breakfast may not be like our style breakfast, it's more continental. But once again, I think this is part of the whole experience and seeing what different culture is like. You're just going to have your eggs and bacon like you may be used to, but that's all part of, that's where, if you're a big eater, bring snacks or, grab something along the way. And then a comfortable motor coach. That's your bus. That's what's going to get you to and from the different places. Actually got sent a picture last spring, and the EF colors got changed to, where can I find it? Hot pink. So the whole bus, they're wrapped hot pink, and they're like a big charter bus. You can't get lost if you want to hot pink bus. Yeah, so that's, I think that's that for motor. Sure. Oh yeah.
So, okay, they're gonna be traveling by bus, they're not gonna be using your rail or the European public transit system?
Yes, I mean, once you're in that city, you might hop on the metro, like when you guys are in London. London, it's the two, and then Paris is the metro, so depending on that day, you guys will be using it in and out between your hotels, but the bus will get you between the major cities, or out to Versailles for your excursion.
And we'll be doing the channel, right?
And the channel, yes. It's on the day by day. So payment options, we have 3. You can pay in full if that's what you would like to do. We have the automatic payment plan that there's no cost to do that. That's where when you enroll, it'll ask you which date in the month you would like to have your debit card or checking account have the money taken out, and it divides it by how many months leading up to the tour. So each month it just automatically does it. A lot of people opt for that, so they don't have to, go check in each time. And then the third option, which other people do prefer, is the manual payment plan. It is $50 more because there's more customer service logistics behind it. But I had a parent point out, she said, well, I get my tax refund, and she applies different amounts, or what the dad helps this way or grandma's helping, so just different chunks of money coming in. So that's an option. When you enroll, you'll see these 3 and you can choose which one. And the neat thing about the automatic one is that you do get to select exactly which date works best for your payment plan. And okay, so here's a little more information about paying for your tour. So right now, you guys are set to leave November 2nd, right around that time. And if you do the math, it's $311 per month starting today, and about $10 per day. It includes all these things that you see here. And right now, for 2016, which your guys' tour is technically considered that, there's a $200 early enrollment discount. That is actually valid until the 15th, which is good. We got the meeting in before that to be able to.
Actually, Stephanie said the 31st.
The 31st. Oh, awesome. I think I saw that
31st of December is
when the deadline is to take advantage of the $200 off, which is awesome. And then, so here's your private group fee that I mentioned before. There's the $99 to do Versailles, which you guys are all going to do. And then the private group fee is $300 to have your own bus. That's if, so like I explained, the bus holds 50 people, and say your group is at 25 is what we're projecting. That means that nobody's paying this cost over here. You guys are covering this. If you guys get your group up a little higher, to 42 is the magic number, there'll be no private group fee. So instead of the total cost being $3,500, it'd be $3,200. So that was something, right now, say you guys get 25 people, $3,500, you guys are going, that's great. But if your group does grow to 42, you're going to get $300 back, which is awesome. And then if a parent wants to go, it's $3,900. That is due to the single rooms, and then adult activities are more expensive than student activities. So like getting a loo is more expensive for an adult than a student. And so I'll click on this to show you guys. So this is the tour website, and at the bottom, or right in the middle of your packet, there's a sticker, and it has this same website link, and this is where you can view this. So you go to eftours.com/the tour ID, which you guys all have on there, and you'll come to this page, and you can see everything we kind of reviewed. There's videos on here. There's actually reviews, so right now there's 64 reviews about this exact tour, and what I like about it is we don't edit them, we don't take anything off of it. The only thing we will take off is if someone used a bad word, or if someone used someone's name. We don't want to, Sally Smith, we just have to take it off so they're not being put on there. But everything else is very honest. It's everyone's opinions. You don't take them off. Everything you get on tour, the price, and then there's the enroll now button. So just something else. You talked about backpack. I think so you saw them in the videos. They're orange and blue, but the colors have been updated. Even though it's pink for the buses, it's like a light gray, and a white, and a blue. Not like a soft baby blue. So they're a little more fashionable, but you'll get nails with those. So you can wear those around while you guys are on tour. And the great thing about ES is, so say you guys sign up today, along the way you're going to get reminder updates and emails and packing list suggestions. Parents get a parent guide to know what to expect, which is really great. And so I'll show you. So for enrolling now, to lock your price and hold your spot on tour, it's $95, and that's not on top of the tour, it's part of it. So say it's $3,500, it would be $95 to hold your spot and lock the price, and then the monthly payments would be split up over the remainder of that. And when I say lock the price, so you're going to get the lowest price, which is now, and so say January comes, it's going to jump up to $3,700. Yeah, $3,700, and then each month leading up to the tour, it increases about $50 to $75. That is because if you think about it, you're going to book a hotel in June and you try to book it right now, the price is going to be better than if you try to book that hotel in April. More people are going on this tour, more people are filling it up. So our system always recalculates it based on how many people are filling it up. So that's why we try to get this information to you fast so you can take advantage of the best price. And I also want to show you, oh man, it went away. I always look up flights for where you guys are headed, just to give you an idea. It wouldn't, like I said, it wouldn't give me your dates. It doesn't even go out that far. But these are just to show you, like, without even being there, no hotels, no food, nothing. These are rates for flying to Amsterdam. It's not even coming back out of London. This is just coming back out of Amsterdam. So I just kind of want to show some behind the scenes, some value for what you're doing. Does anybody have questions? I told you I ramble really fast sometimes.
So regarding the fundraising, and that we're going to have an account that it goes toward, we were looking at something that said it.
It says EF has a direct link where you can make your own web for fundraising.
Yeah.
So you
That
still about fundraising, but that's a specific.
Okay, there's actually a great point. I love this part. They've developed so Sally Smith signs up. Sally Smith now has a page that mom, dad can go into and view and get updates on how much is paid, what's coming next month for. There's also on there a donations link. You can send that link to mom, to grandma, aunt, uncle, and instead of, aunt saying, here's $10, apply it to your trip, aunt can actually just type it in and it'll apply it to the account.
So does that change your monthly then for that next month? Okay, or it adjusts all the monthly?
It adjusts,
okay.
Yeah. So that I always remember this. When I went to Costa Rica on my first tour, this was like 10 years ago, I hand wrote letters to all my family and friends, and I would get money here and there, and it's just so funny to think of how easy it would have been to be able to just be like, here's a link with Facebook, with all these different social media sites to be able to, or just email out to things. But family was very supportive, and, with Christmas and summer coming up, it's just, and birthdays, it's always a great way to actually.
What if the student isn't doing the monthly plan and they're just doing the third plan? What happens when people donate or those things?
It'll just update your account in there so you can see the changes, and it'll say it was $3,500 and then grandma adds $500. Now it's down to $3,000, and you can make it. It asks you to make certain payments to show your commitment. So say you do the manual one, but you can't not pay until October. They want to see some. They'll be like, okay, by 3 months you need to have this minimum in there. It's all broken down on the last page of that enrollment handbook.
So every single person, every single traveler will have their own web page where they can get donations.
And then you have your page that can see it. Doesn't see everyone's financials, but you can communicate with everybody and kind of do trip updates and kind of see who's enrolled.
I'm sorry, so one other question. So let's say we sign up today and we don't get 20 people to do it, what happens to all that money that we've been paying per month if it doesn't happen? So let's say that of course, it's gonna happen, but let's just pretend, for the sake of pretending, that we don't get 20, and Taryn's the only one that signs up. Then what happens to all that money that we're putting into this?
If one person signed up, you guys probably would do the trip. So we would, if you take a look at this, you would get your money back.
We just basically have a refund.
Yeah. The only money you won't get back is that $95. That's a non-refundable deposit.
There's enough of us, would they just put us with another group though, or?
That would, I would say yes, that would happen. You would go from private to non-private. That would be something that, you never want these things to happen. I anticipate you guys are going to have a great group at this amount of time.
Yeah, so my personal goal is to actually get to 42 participants, because that's going to be our rock bottom lowest price. So 42 participants, we're probably going to cap it at that, so we don't want the bus to be too crowded and too many people. So that's my goal, is to get that. Now, to help students raise the money, my vision is that in the Escondido area, and if anybody from the outlying areas wants to join us, we would combine to make a fundraising team, and we would meet a couple times a month, and maybe even have a fundraiser once a month. And my goal that I have kind of in the back of my mind, I don't know if it's ambitious or not, and we can get together, and it's really going to depend on who shows up to join the fundraising team and what we want to do with it. But I would like to be able to raise $100 a month for each of the students, or roughly about $1,000 worth of this cost for the student. So that would be in group fundraising. And so we would all work together and raise the funds, and then they would be applied to everybody who's in that fundraising team. And then I know that there are other EFs in other areas that are willing to support other fundraising teams in, say Mission Valley or Marietta or Riverside. And so, they'll be supporting their personal teams, and they can work together as a team. They don't have to be connected to the Escondido team. So what I have later on when we do some sign-up stuff, or even if you're still thinking about it, you can sign up here to put your name on the fundraising team interest list. So if you're interested in joining a team to group fundraise, put your name on this list, and then we'll get in touch with you. So to defray the cost, that's one way to do it, with group fundraising. Then there are ideas for private fundraising, which is the private website that each person would have. And Tony, would you hold up the fundraising handbook back there? You're done eating. So I put a couple, oh, they're not here, they're right there. They're like, EF has put together this packet of ideas for fundraisers. Some are for groups and some are for individuals. You can kind of peruse those.
Is that online?
And those are online, so you can print them out yourself. I'm going to give some to the EFs that are here tonight, the educational facilitators that are here tonight. And there are lots of ideas, and old ideas, new ideas, individual ideas, and group ideas. And then, of course, our creativity will take us a lot along the lines of fundraising. And I really see the fundraising as an opportunity for students working on this fundraising team to really grow and stretch themselves. Because I'm going to be coaching our team, and I know the other EFs will too, coaching students to be able to think of something, that they can hardly imagine doing, something big, and setting goals around it, setting an intention, and then setting up goals around it, and then projects to fulfill those goals, and then just sticking with it and working toward those in a doable way, breaking them down into pieces. And then really, by the time they step on the plane, they have, discovered the joy and the satisfaction of accomplishing something little by little that was bigger than they could have imagined, 11 months ago. So I really see the fundraising as an opportunity to be changed even before we step on the plane. All of us, EFs and students and travelers together. So that's an opportunity in and of itself, to fundraise. Although it doesn't seem like an opportunity. Yes, Tony.
You addressed the how curriculum
and yes, sir.
So with all this money right here, with all the 3 payments, the different options, when is the deadline for each payment to be made? I mean, we're going to do all this.
145 days out. It's just to be paid by tour. Anyone who enrolls after 145 days, they're late, still go, but just paid by before the tour. I think it's 30 days before.
Is that your question?
You just wanted to know when it was all due.
Yeah, when was everything due?
Yeah, right before tour.
The final, if you're doing the monthly plan, I think it's a month before you have to pay it up.
So that date,
like 30 days before.
I was gonna mention, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, what if we have so many people that want to sign up that you have a bus and a half worth of people? I mean, you know, since you're gonna cap it.
That'd be an awesome problem. That's what I want.
So what are you gonna do to cap it up? Do you have any idea how you're gonna make the decision or
No.
what?
No. Do you have an idea? First come, first serve, right? And then 43.
So she can see on her website that Sally signed up, and she can kind of monitor and maybe like as it's getting closer, be like, okay, you know, we'll have this many enrollment. I did want to mention, so I did my first tour ever when I was in college, and it was my sophomore year, and I was 19. I had an amazing time. I went to Costa Rica, and it was great. After I started working at EF, I went to my old high school. I grew up in Northern California in Stockton, just below Sacramento, and I looked up my school, and I was like, was there tours going on that I was like walking down the hall and didn't realize things were happening? And I looked it up, and there weren't any, so it made me feel kind of good. I was paying attention. But I think it's so great you guys have the opportunity to do this now, because I started traveling so much more after that first tour, and I have a whole appreciation for Costa Rica. I could talk Costa Rica up and down because I love it so much. I had such a great experience. But to think if I had started sooner, and I see this opportunity for kids, and I just think it's great. Because my sister, she studied abroad in London after she did her trip, and she flew to Thailand yesterday. She's my little sister, and I'm like, it's amazing how much it opens up your world. So, and for parents that are sending their kids, there's Wi-Fi in hotels, so I think that's important. If you need to communicate, my mom, when my sister was in London, she made a Facebook page. She does not have any friends, but she made it so she could keep an eye on Katie, so she could see like, okay, Katie's walking. Katie posted, I'm walking to Big Ben. Mom would be like, okay, Katie's alive today. But that was really, and me and her are only friends. And she'll be like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's like, my mom will be like, oh, so I saw you did this. And I posted that. I guess she had emails about everything that I do on Facebook. Like, we're trying to let her
So there's communication.
Yeah, so that was the point. Is that you guys can email, send pictures, share. Just, that's the cool thing.
Yeah. If there's Wi-Fi, you can use Google to video chat with your children while they're there.
Yes, sir.
The other thing is you said who's allowed to go on this trip?
Oh, good question. So, students, obviously, and I don't think the EF allows any students under age of 6, right?
Yeah.
So it's to be 6 and above. And you want to think carefully about that. So students, parents are allowed to go, friends, relatives, cousins, anybody basically can go who would like to pay the cost and go with us. And I emailed Stephanie, who is Jackie's supervisor. She says that if you're age 20 or below, you're a student. So if you're 19 or below, you pay the student rate. So even if you've graduated and you started the first year of college or so, you can go if you're 19 or below at the student rate. If you turn 20 on the tour, or you're 20 or older,
I think 20 or under. So if you're 21.
Oh, so if you turn 21 on the tour?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You can drink in America.
No, it's right there.
My son can go at a student rate.
Under 20.
So if it's
19.
Oh, so if you're 19?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you turn 20 on the tour, you need to pay the adult rate. Okay. So if you're 20 or older, you need to pay the adult rate. If you're 19 and below, you pay the student rate.
Yeah. And go ahead.
But just to understand it clearly, the student plus the parent and or anybody else, 3 relatives can go, or is it limited to 1?
No.
Okay.
You can bring relatives. And actually, that's really fun. first and second tour that I did, but especially the first one. Grandma and granddad went, some aunts, some great aunts, cousins went, and it was a fun time for the whole family. And, you know, and it was kind of a built-in, it kind of kept the kids in check, so it made my job really easy because, you know, all their authority figures were there. So it was really a fun time for the family.
I think the other neat thing is, if you know, you've always wanted to go to Europe, I think there's this daunting aspect of planning the logistics of it, and this is, you kind of ride along and you get to do all these things without having to do like, okay, what are we we have enough time, how are we gonna get transportation out to this and that, and I just think it's a great opportunity, and like making a family experience out of it all. And I have the site up here, and so if anybody did want to enroll tonight, I have 3 Starbucks $25 gift cards for the first 3 people that want to enroll. And they're like holiday themes that I didn't write anything on them, so people can give them as gifts, use them on their own, whatever you want to do. But that way, if you have any questions while you're enrolling, I can kind of make sure you're hitting all the right buttons. Very easy, but yeah.
So sorry, despite the Starbucks gift cards, I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, Catherine, if there was maybe some informal thing first, just kind of see what the intention was. If, like, yes, clearly we have more than 20 people that want to sign up. Go ahead and put your $95 down, or maybe just a show of hands right now.
I don't know. Have you ever done that before?
I haven't. I have not done that. But I mean.
So how many people have an interest in going? Let's just try it. All right. How many people definitely know they want to go? How many people are definitely going to go?
I'm standing for my wife and her sister.
Is she gonna
go? Oh, are they two?
Yeah.
You, your mom, and your aunt. There's 3.
Yay.
Karen is 4.
3 minimum, maybe 4.
4 of you? Whoa. We're going to hit 42. We're going to hit a
3 for sure.
Yes.
I'm trying to get my wife.
Okay, and you got 2. What was that? Let's like 12. How many of you? 1? Okay. So there's about 15 in this room right now, so that's good. And yes?
Oh, does the 42 count the educational facilitators, or is that?
No.
Okay.
That's good. Well, that's good. And so we have, you know, Dehesa is 3 counties, so there's others that are interested.
So if a parent goes, do they have chaperone responsibilities? That's a 1 in 5.
Right.
The EFs
right.
and the EFs.
So the EFs and the EFs will be chaperoned. And, you know, unless you want to take special charge of your own child. And especially probably if your child's under 12 and under.
Let me ask you.
So I was actually going to highlight Amsterdam. I went to Copenhagen this summer, and everybody I talked to, I haven't been to Amsterdam, but they said they're identical, and Copenhagen is so cute, and everybody rides bikes. Like we see cars every day. All they do is bikes. Some people own 2 bikes. They leave one for work and ride it back. But like you said, it's those cute little canal streets. You guys are doing cruise down there.
Yeah, we're actually doing a canal cruise that I asked for supervisor to give us because
That's on bicycles?
No, we're going to be in a boat. But in Amsterdam, they say there are 7 million bicycles and 1 million people.
I took this trip to Copenhagen, and literally it's a bus station, and I just was overwhelmed by how many bikes there are. Like, how do you not lose them? But they do something where, I don't know, but you take it off and, I don't know.
And there are some bikes you can take and drive somewhere.
If you could just do hypothetical, say we get.
And you're going to put 95 down today or whenever.
So call it 2,000.
So 2,000. So yeah, so students looking to raise on their own $2,000. And you have summer jobs, you have your birthdays, your Christmas, you have your own ingenuity and hardworking ability to raise the money. So yeah. So that would be an adventure in itself, raising $2,000.
What is the weather like?
I haven't actually been there at that time.
I have. I've been actually there later, and it was gorgeous. It was a little cold in Amsterdam. It was about 42, 45. It didn't happen to rain, but it was kind of foggy and misty, which was really awesome because it was really provocative and mysterious. And then when I went to London, it was actually sunny and bright. It was a little bit warmer there, maybe 50s. So anywhere, I would say I prefer prepared to be 30 degrees to 60, 30.
And that's where you guys will get the suggested packing list, which I think are really helpful, just to, you can weed out some of the things. There was actually a student that kept sending pictures to her teacher of her different shoes. She'd be like, no bows, no heels, no heels,
yeah.
different things like that. So it's just a helpful guide that helps you fit different times of year.
Yeah. And Californians, you probably don't pack your flip-flops.
Yeah,
that's the thing. For back east, it's going to be great weather. For us, it's going to be like, ooh.
Does EF adjust for that? Say you had a day of a walking tour outside and there's no way you're going to be outside, or does it hang out in the hotel?
That's where the tour director is kind of the flexible, let's make some calls and see what we can work out. We had that when I was staffing a trip in Belize, like it poured one day. We had to like, okay guys, instead of in the morning activity, we're going to do the afternoon activity that was indoors now, and it kind of goes place by year. But it works itself out. Usually nobody really, like, it bothers anybody, it's just a situation. And, yeah.
Back to the general itinerary, on a daily basis, you have your schedule.
Yep.
Are there daily breaks where we have our own time of an hour or two or not? Is it daily or maybe, I don't know. How much free time?
Depends if you stick with me. I want to control where you go because I'm so excited about it. But there will be times when you have every few days there's going to be some times that you have for free.
So if you look at some
especially in London.
Yeah, like okay, so day 8 right here, it says visit the Tower of London. That's a couple hours. And then it says time to see more of London. That would be your free time. Or there's an optional which you guys can vote on to go ride the London Eye. You don't do that. That means you have a whole afternoon to go do what you want. So yes, it looks, and then there are some days that are super busy, but I think having it there.
But I really want everyone, the British Museum is not on this itinerary, but I want everyone to go. It's free. And they have all the treasures in the world that they, from having a worldwide empire that they've collected, not given back. You know what I mean? And it would be a shame not to go see the actual clay tablets that you see in the textbooks with the cuneiform stuff on them. They're right in the British Museum. And so I'm suggesting that.
But just to answer that question, so in the evenings, for example, is there time, like, I've been in London and there's plays in the evening. Those times are generally going to be open, so whether you want to watch a movie at a movie theater or even watch a play, is that available?
You can definitely schedule that on your own if you like. You would just, dinners, if you don't want to go to that dinner and go to the play, but you won't know the set time for dinner just yet. But you can talk to your tour director.
And well, I would definitely give parents more flexibility. Parents who are on the tour with their children, I would give them more flexibility to do what they want with their family. For me, but if, Christina's there all by herself and she wants to go out and go to the Hard Rock Cafe or whatever, I'm sending a bunch of people with her, a bunch of adults and maybe even mixing it if we can get people that go with her. So, I would be flexible. Use judgment.
Oh, just to clarify, for the 11 days, you're taking your stuff with you everywhere, or is it, can we leave it in the hotels or the bus, or is it with us at all times?
It's at the hotels the nights that you guys are at the hotels. But yes, it's gonna become your little buddy that you have to repack. So.
But you leave it on the bus. You don't take it in the museums or on your walking tour.
If you guys are, if it's out and about.
Okay. So don't overpack. There's some EFs. Ms. Asmoon, Mrs. Schrader is going. And there's some other ones. Mrs. Pearson back there. Are you going? Yeah. Mrs. Rupel. So for every 6 Dehesa traveler, there'll be 1 EF. So we want to keep our high rein on your precious ones.
But I volunteer to go to the play if somebody's going to the play.
And we'll have, each student will be assigned to that EF, and that EF will be in charge of the students. They'll be associated.
I think you guys are going at our tours run daytime, summertime. Like that's our biggest time of year. Spring is becoming another people do spring break. You guys are gonna not have the crowds, and it's like so awesome. I'm like it's a different Europe experience in a great way. Because you're not getting tourists, you're seeing the people in their day-to-day life, and you're not in crowds. Cool.
And one more point I wanted to, it will be rather rigorous. There will be a lot of walking. We could walk up to 5 miles a day, not all at once, but, you know, walk a half mile real quick, see something, and, you know, stand there and talk about it for 15 minutes or a half hour, and then walk another half mile or walk a mile, and ride somewhere, and then walk another mile. So the traveler should be in, you know, walking shape, be able to do that. So, and be on the go for all day long. Not to scare anybody off, but just to, you know, you have 11 months to get ready. You can go for runs, build it into the phys ed program. Okay, so we want to.
Yeah. So if
I don't wanna
anybody,
keep you guys.
yeah, if anybody wants to come up,
I have one more.
sure.
Where are we leaving from?
There you go. Oh yeah. Very nice. Some, I mean, I worked with all the Midwest last year, and there'd be like times where I'm like, yeah, you're going from that airport that's like 4 hours away from you. So you guys are lucky that right here. Yeah.
She mentioned this package of travelers insurance. Is that included in this
Oh,
plan?
great question.
Or
It's $155 optional. You'll see it when you enroll. You can add it now. You can add it later if you want to check with your insurance. But yeah, that's $155
that's per
optional
person?
per person. Yes. And you'll see when you enroll, there's 2 other optionals. There's that one deny optional, and there's one other one. If you guys want to vote on that later to add it, we can always add that to later. But the first size already built into that price. So you guys are all doing good. Good one. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, want to come up here, feel free.
Yes.
That was something I saw on there that was talking about passport and visa fees. How do you know about the visa?
You won't need visa for where you're
Oh,
going.
okay, so nothing like, so all you have to do is your passport. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, Christine. Signal?
You'll
Wi-Fi?
have to get a international phone. Yeah. You can call your phone company and or go to AT or whatever if you have it. They can give you they can change your plan for a short period of time. It's not too bad.
I've done that before. It's like for AT&T is when I did it a couple years ago when my daughter was over there. For $5 extra a month, I could call her in Europe, and then after she came back, then I just dropped that. So and you can do it for like a month or 2.
They made it so easy.
Those international phone cards work.
Yeah, there's international phone cards. There's also, you can text through the computer or call through the computer. There's ways to do it for free.
Wi-Fi calling.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So if they have Wi-Fi service, and you
Yeah.
have a Wi-Fi option.
Yep.
There's Viber and
There's
WhatsApp. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Very exciting, you guys. Cool trip. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, so thank you for coming. If you want to sign up for it this way, please.
I got it.
If anybody wants to sign up for the fundraiser.